LSU at South Carolina. LSU bounced back against nobody and with a win in week 2, but Garrett Nussmeier has got really good numbers right now through 2 weeks. South Carolina, a huge, to your point earlier, a huge bounce back. One of the most impressive, unpredictable showings that I saw in week number 2. Nebraska's win over Colorado was not nearly as shocking as how South Carolina went on the road and defeated Kentucky. Pure and utter dominance with all that talent that Shane Beamer has recruited along the defensive line, completely obliterated Kentucky's offensive line. And all the progress that we thought maybe Brock Vandagriff and Kentucky's offensive line had made, completely out the window. South Carolina now at home, only a 7-point dog against LSU. LSU does have the pieces along the offensive line to protect their quarterback. So this is a really interesting game with South Carolina trying to salvage their season. Looks like they did so last week. Maybe they're on to bigger and better things than we expected, than I expected. LSU, I think, sort of kind of are where we expected them to be. This game could decide the trajectory of both of these seasons.
I think when you look at that South Carolina team from last week, like I said, it was one of the more shocking scores. It wasn't surprising that they won. It was sort of the fashion that they won. And I think you got a great, and watching that matchup and based upon what you saw in week 1 with them against Old Dominion was really surprising. But I think as you look at this LSU game this weekend, there's kind of an interesting strength on strength here. And that, LSU offensive line, which is one of the best in the country, going against South Carolina's defensive front, which is already one of the better ones in the SEC through the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, Dylan Stewart, the true freshman, if you get took 3 guys to block him by Kentucky and he's still getting to the quarterback. That's a pretty good start to the season. So it's interesting to see how far South Carolina's defense has progressed, I think, in our minds, and now going up against LSU, which struggles to run the ball, but they got the best quarterback that South Carolina has faced this year in Garrett Nussmeier. And then on the other side of things, I'm interested to see how LSU's defense stops the run. Nichols had some success. Some of that was just one big play. USC had some success. So what can LSU do to slow down Sellers and Sanders? Because I think if I'm Shane Beamer, I'm going to try to slow this game down, try to use those running backs, use Sellers, try to make this a lower possession game, keep the ball out of Garrett Nussmeier's hands, and keep my pass rushers fresh for the fourth quarter.
South Carolina is like one of the most confusing teams so far with their two performances.
Very fortunate to win week 1.
Yes, it's very much Notre Dame. It's very much Notre Dame. Yeah. Notre Dame, really impressive showing on the road against Texas A&M, comes back inexplicable against Northern Illinois. That was sort of how I felt about South Carolina. LSU, again, I feel like I know what they are. I feel like they're going to achieve a certain level each week with a quarterback who knows the system, knows the offense, has some weapons, a defense that's improved but still has some flaws. And if they can just block Stewart, I think Nussmeier should have some space to operate. And is that enough for them to go on the road and win? If you look at week 1 and you're like, yep. You look at week 2 and you're like, I have no idea. It's very confusing to see what South Carolina's done, which is why I think this is going to describe both teams in more clarity than a lot of other games in week 3. It's a smaller point spread than you might think. LSU's already lost. South Carolina struggled. Like, there's a lot to be decided in this game. So I like LSU to win on the road, but I think it's because they have the pieces to handle South Carolina's defensive front. That would be my pick.
Yeah, they are a better pass blocking group, I think, fair to say, than they are a run blocking group as far as the offensive line so far this season. I like LSU as well, and I think I have a lot of confidence that South Carolina can make this. Obviously, it's a close game. It's 7-point spread, but I think the one kind of denominator in all this is if you look at the quarterback challenges, Old Dominion, Kentucky, Garrett Nussmeier is just in a different league. So I think in a game like this where you need 1 or 2 plays from your quarterback, I know it's going to be a great environment at Williams-Brice, but somehow I think LSU finds a way to win this one.